Hi guys, so in this video I'm going to show how I took some Super Sculpting, some tin foil and some wire and turned them into an orc bust. So this is the first time I've really had a go at using Super Sculpting, so I've kept it with a fairly simple sort of design. Obviously it's kind of like a Warhammer orc, but not quite. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how he came out and I'm going to show you how I made him. So let's get started. So the first thing I did was took the clay and put it through this mangle. As it rolls it out into nice thin sheets and makes it nice and soft and easy to use. As the clay is quite expensive, I'm going to make the inside using some wire wrapped up, and I'm going to put some tin foil all around this. That way it makes it lighter and I don't have to use as much clay as if it was all solid clay. So it's basically just a case of just getting a rough shape ready, because I know roughly how big I want to make this thing. So I'm going to do a bit for the body, and then obviously I've got another little bit up the top here where I can make the head. But obviously the tin foil is nice and cheap, so you don't mind using plenty of that for the inside of this figure. And then once that's done, it's then just a case of wrapping the whole thing in those thin sheets of clay that I've already rolled out. So I'm going to be covering the whole thing of this. Even the back's going to get covered in the Super Sculpting. Although obviously you won't see this bit, but I'll show you the reason why I'm doing the back in just a second. And then it's just a case of smoothing it all out, getting rid of all the lines of where all the joins are. So the reason for putting the clay on the back is so I could stick it on this sheet of glass. That way it makes it nice and easy to work with, and I don't have to hold the figure with my hands. So I actually got this idea from watching someone else, and that's a YouTuber called Zan Von Zed, who makes amazing figures and sculpts using Sculpting. So go check them out, guys. As mentioned earlier, this is the first time I've used Super Sculpting, and it's certainly nice and easy to use. It's nice and soft. Obviously it's pliable. You can smooth it out, make it into shapes. So basically with this build, it's more or less a case of just adding bits as I need them. So I'm kind of making this orc bust up as I go along. Obviously I love orcs and I've seen loads and loads of pictures of them, so I've got a rough idea of obviously how they look. But yeah, this guy, he's going to be a little bit like a Warhammer orc and a normal orc, I guess, somewhere in between. So I brought a few extra tools to help me with this build, but to be honest I guess the best tool we've really got is our fingers. As it's easy to say to move this stuff around, to smooth it out, and basically get it in whatever position you need it to be in. But I love the fact that it can be smoothed out so nicely and so easily. Another thing I'm really liking about doing this build is I'm not using any glue, so my fingers aren't caked in the stuff, and also there's no strong smells either. So I've been wanting to build something out of Super Sculpting for quite some time, as I like the idea that you can build whatever you want. It's only limited by your imagination. I love doing the scratch builds and the builds made out of sprues, but sometimes there's things I just can't make, because obviously you're limited to what you're actually using. Whereas making something with Sculpting, obviously, well, you make whatever it is you need. So I've got a few ideas of other things I've been wanting to make for some time but not been able to do them. But now I've got the Super Sculpting and it's quite enjoyable to use. I'm definitely going to have a go at making some weird and wacky things. So keep an eye out for those videos, guys. So obviously, as well as adding bits to this build, it's also nice and easy to take bits away. So this is one of those new tools I've got, and I'm not too sure what it's called, but obviously it's a scraper, I guess. So this orc's going to kind of be menacing looking, but also in a fun kind of way. But I've got some plans to make some orcs, but make them look like superheroes. So make like a Spider-Man orc, a Thor orc, maybe even a Batman orc, and possibly Judge Dredd, just 'cause I love Judge Dredd. So again, keep an eye out for those ones, guys. So the other tool I have brought but hasn't turned up yet is a cutting tool. But as it's not here, I'm having to use this blade at the moment, so careful not to chop your fingers off. But there you go, cuts nice thin line bits. And obviously this is going to be the start of his helmet. And I think I'm going to go with like a Viking looking helmet. Again, just because I think it'd look funny. As with a lot of my builds, a lot of the things that I make, I like making things that when I look at them, they make me smile, or laugh, or giggle, or all three. So that's definitely why this guy isn't going to look too menacing or too serious. And he is going to be quite comical or cartoony in a way. Although I didn't like the look of his chin, but again, this stuff, the good thing is, you take bits away or you add them. So again, this is definitely a lot easier to use than scratch building or making things with sprues. Where sometimes when you make something, if you don't like it, you've really got to take the whole thing off and start again. Whereas using the clay, obviously it's so much easier just to remove small sections or small parts and then rebuild them how you want them. So yeah, I'm definitely enjoying this kind of build. And again, as I say, the fact that I haven't got to use too many tools, all the glue, all the strong smells, I'm kind of thinking I could be doing quite a few more builds or makes or whatever you want to call this, sculpting I guess. Yeah, quite a few more things like this. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. If you've got any ideas of what you'd like to see me make, by all means drop them in the description. Or failing that, become a patron, as at least once a month I'll be making something that's been suggested by one of my patrons. So having rolled out all the Sculpting right at the beginning certainly has made the whole process so much quicker as well. As I've got lots of the thin sheets, which makes it nice and easy to build this character up, as well as obviously having loads of thin sheets of the Sculpting. So I want to make this dude quite beefy, so obviously I'm going to give him some nice big pecs. Obviously if I'd done the arms, he would have had some big biceps as well. But as this is just going to be a bust, I'm not going to do anything more to his arms other than obviously the shoulders, which I have made relatively large and beefy looking. And obviously to go with the look of him being nice and beefy, I'm also going to give this dude a little six-pack. If only it was this easy in real life. The other thing you may have noticed, guys, there's no transitional side swipes in this video. Much as I enjoyed watching the side swipes when I first started this channel, I think I'm now getting a bit bored of them. So let me know in the comments what you think about the fact that this doesn't have side swipes. There's no transition at all. Obviously it just goes from one scene to the next. So I'd like to have your input, guys, and let me know what you think about it. Whether you like the side swipes because you kind of got used to them, or you just prefer it where I just go from one scene to the next. And there you go, instant six-pack. So obviously being an orc, he's going to have some nice big chunky teeth. For the top row, I'm just giving him like normal looking teeth. But I'm going to do some teeth for the bottom. But what I'm going to do in this case is I'm going to make the teeth and then I'm going to put them in the oven so they go nice and hard. Just so when I do put them in his mouth, I won't accidentally nudge them or squish them or touch them basically. But if I did, it wouldn't matter because they've already been baked and they've gone hard. But obviously as I'm doing that, I might as well do some little circle or circular balls to go on his helmet. And again, it'll just be easier having these already pre-baked, just so they go nice and hard. And then when I put them on him, they won't accidentally get smushed. So I put them on a low heat for about 40 minutes or so. And yeah, they've come out. I've let them cool down because obviously they're piping hot at first. Now they're nice and hard. And for these bits to go on the helmet, they can just be pushed in. And then I'm hoping once I bake the whole thing, that'll make them adhere to, well, everything else. I have ordered some Sculpey glue, which is basically, I guess, liquefied Sculpey, which you can use to obviously attach bits of Sculpey to other bits of Sculpey. So with his bottom teeth, I've made a bit of a gum sort of thing there, making a little recess, and then just poking his tooth in. And I'll do that for the rest of the teeth. Again, I am hoping, say the first time I've used this stuff, so I am hoping that when it gets baked again, it will all then just sort of like stick to itself. But the good thing with this Sculpey is it can be baked again and again and again. So what I might do on more complicated builds is build a part, then bake it, and then add some more builds to it, then bake it, and so on basically. whatever it is that makes it easier to build, and just to make sure something that I have built, I don't squish along the line. So we'll give him a small belt, because obviously I don't want to cover up too much of that six-pack. But again, having these nice thin sheets makes this process so easy and enjoyable. I say, I really am enjoying this build now, and can't wait to try something a bit more complicated. So this next part coming up, I actually did during a live stream, and that was I made him some ears. But at the time, I didn't think the ears looked right, although they have kind of grown on me, funnily enough. I think it's because I made them and they looked a bit too, I don't know, cartoony. But then again, I think this build kind of fits well with a cartoony look. So there you go, there's his ears. Nothing special, obviously made them nice and pointy. Although I think I kind of felt they looked a bit too elf-like and not orc-like. But as I say, I didn't mind in the end, they kind of grew on me. And you don't really see a whole lot of them, because you'll see in a minute I put little side bits on his helmet. But yeah, as I say, I'm really pleased with how this thing came out. But also decided to give him some little some earrings. I thought the best way to do this was to get some metal wire. It's nice and soft, this wire. Wrapped it around the paintbrush and obviously cut it, and then they just find them nice and easy to attach. Obviously I could have had a go at making these out of Sculpting, but obviously they look a lot better and obviously a lot rounder, made out of, well, metal really. And there you go, I think that looks pretty cool. So I did the same thing with obviously one on his lip, and again with the sort of the strap that goes on his shoulder pad. I've got one ring there in the centre, and then some Sculpting either end, just to look like a strap. And again, nice and simple, but pleased with how that came out. So that's the other thing I really like about this whole build, is the fact you can just add bits. And obviously that's kind of how my brain works really well when I'm building just in general, is I kind of see the thing as a whole finished product, but I can also see how I get to the end result just by adding bits here and there. So he's just about done now, and just before we get on to the painting bit, I just want to do a big shout out to all my patrons for helping support this channel, as it really does mean so much to me, as it means I can continue to buy more and more materials to make more and more videos for you guys. So I painted him with a white primer, although from what I've seen from other people who use clay, you can just paint directly onto it. But I thought going white would be a nice sort of base to go with. And I'm basically using some acrylic paints that I've got, although these are a little bit sort of watery looking, so I will have to do a couple of coats to this guy, but that's fine. So I'm doing him a light coloured green, and I tend to prefer the lighter coloured green orcs to the dark ones basically, but obviously everyone can do whatever they want here. Although with all these muscles, he is starting to look a little bit like the Hulk. Maybe the Hulk's uglier brother, or maybe even sister. Either way, I'm loving how he looks. So the copper paint that I'm using, it generally always looks very watery, and this stuff I always do at least 3-4 coats. Even though the bottle gets a good shaking beforehand, it still just comes out watery. So there's not too many colours to this dude really. As I say, he is quite a simple build, but it was definitely something nice and easy to start with, just for me to get used to the material, used to the tools, and then basically it gives me a starting point to where I can progress and eventually get better. So I'm adding a little bit of a brown wash to his teeth, just to make them look a little bit dirtier, because obviously no self-respecting orc would have clean teeth. But for the rest of the body, I'm not going to do any black washes, and I kind of like the plain sort of solid colours that he is. And there we go, one finished dude, and to finish him off, I've stuck him in a photo frame. This way I can either put him on my desk, or I could even hang him up on the wall, which I think is pretty cool. There you go guys, hope you enjoyed the little build. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up, leave some comments below, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Okay, bye for now.